You notice it? Something is different. Little blissful like. Yeah. An ease. What I'm noticing is an ease within the complexity. This is kind of nice. So life has a beautiful way of being complex in its development. It just moves in a mysterious way. And within that complexity, there's always a simplicity. That's just the way that it is. And it's probably most clearly illustrated by your body. So your body is fairly simple, no? You get up, you do your thing, you enjoy your day, and then you go to sleep. And that's fairly simple. But what is behind the scenes, orchestrating all of that which is your experience, is complex. And it seems to always be that way. We have this complexity, but we rest into simplicity. And there's a moment in time where complexity takes over, creates this loud busyness for a moment, and then we attempt to find our way back into the simplicity. So this is nature that naturally occurs. So then, to me, within my contemplation today, I was really resting into this sanctuary-like experience that is found within myself, which I cultivate through my meditation practice. Ideally, your meditation practice, which is cultivating that it is untouched by any of that complexity. And you're able to rest and recharge within that place. Within this space, it's the exact same. So wherever it is that you call upon or rest into your meditation experience, that becomes sacred. And the objective is to develop such a relationship with your meditation that the quality of space that you are calling that sacred meditative place is always with you, because that's what we do. We close our eyes. And inside the body, within the vast experience of safe space, we sit and rest. So to develop a connection of that with the eyes open, same quality of space, is then to become a walking, talking, moving experience of meditation. And then within that, whatever complexity that exists within the world around you simply enters into the developing space of simplicity. It becomes that instrument which dissolves all. And we talked about that last Wednesday, just simply dissolving. So that which is complexity is thought, is emotion, is personality. These three things: thought, emotion, personality. And this thought, emotion, personality is one part ours, but second part the individuals who are around us. And it seems that this complexity is really fueled by those three things: thought, emotion, and personality. So if there is an agreement that you feel your quality of space, which is developed through your meditation, should be, and maybe even is, the deepest, most safe place you have, then what does that feel like? What does it sound like? What does it look like? And are we able to rest into that place now? And if you can, with any level of confidence, say yes, then you have succeeded. You've invoked through a memory. That memory is connected to an understanding of how you work in relation to the deepest experience of who you are, that deep well of the self, but also in relation to those three expressions that is produced by the mind: thought, emotion, personality. So then it's worthwhile to look, as you're sitting here, well, what happens to those three that is produced by the mind when you enter into that quality of space where you find your meditation? And I'm sure you're able to define that. And we base our definition on an observation, what we observe, and from the observation, what we understand. And that understanding is always connected to a sounding board of past experience. That's how we know, because we've seen it before. So through this developing gains of understanding, we can start to cultivate confidence in that. And truly, confidence is everything when it comes to developing a meditation which is two ways, inner and outer, a living, breathing, walking, talking meditation. And this confidence is dependent on our ability to discern the activity that is produced by the mind, and whether or not it is conducive or allowing for a communication to be occurring from that deepest, most safe place. And I think quite easily, as you're sitting here, you can reflect on your own experience of your mind in relation to that meditative quality, and discern very quickly whether or not the mind, rather I should say the content of the mind, allows you to rest in that place. And some of you are saying yes, and others of you are saying no. And others of you again are saying yes when you really mean no. But the practice of this actually goes back to the original statement within our talk, and that is that something feels a little bit different today. Feels like something is happening, and there's an ease within the complexity, and that it sort of feels good. So there's this continuous sensation that is, blissful-like feeling. And if there's any truth to those statements at all, then we can develop a relationship in such a way through practice of communication, so that then we are bolstering one over the other. So we want to bolster one side over the other while giving them both equal amounts of attention. It's like anything. If you see a river and the river has very strong rapids, class 5, let's say, and you say, wow, that's strong, and you admire it to some extent. But rarely, if ever, would you actually jump into the class 5 and just ride the wave having fun. This is strong. But you admire as an observer that which is occurring and actually gain strength from it from the perspective of the observer. But we're diminishing our ability to be strong if you were to jump into it. So this is thought, emotion, personality. In relation to the observer, in relation to this quality of meditative space. So someone stands by a river with that level of velocity moving through the river, and it invokes confidence, doesn't it? It's actually a symbol of confidence. The raging sound, you can feel it in the center of your chest. But within this river that I'm speaking of, the confidence increases when we just simply admire the beauty, the genius that exists there. Coming to the simple terms that you created that, which you see standing or flowing in front of you. You created that. Wow. And to some, this sounds very beautiful, metaphoric-like, and to others, it's directly hitting them. Some, it hits in a sideways kind of a way. So if I told you that everything that you experience inside, you've created at some stage, in some way, shape, or form. Does that excite you, make you happy, or does that upset you? Does it make you feel like you want to tell me, actually, you're wrong? And just notice how you relate to yourself. Because this is what meditation is all about, how we relate to ourselves and our ability to cultivate a true relationship, truthfulness. But like always, in order to stand in the truth, we have to invoke confidence that we know ourselves that well, that we know what is right for us, that we know what we can let go of. And we want to develop what is the right path or right for us so that we can be grounded in discernment. Stop believing everything that we hear, everything that we see. Stop going with every feeling that comes up. And instead, rest into the depth that is that safe, sacred space, and just simply watch. You're still connecting to it. That's the beauty of it. You're still feeling. You're still seeing. But you're no longer buying into it. You're no longer jumping into the class 5 rapids and hoping for the best. And that is a type of confidence. That you can say, yes, I have this feeling, yes, I have this thought, and then discern whether or not it's correct. And still respond and act in accordance to that which is being offered to you, but now from a place of perspective. and then to increase the ability to fast track whatever it is that you wish to come to fruition, we must very gently begin to take responsibility for that which is occurring within your life. And I'm just saying what's happening inside at first, because outside it's more complexity to simplify. But on the inside, even though it might seem like it's complicated, it's actually very simple once you step away and look. So now I meandered in my talking for a moment. And are you still resting in that very special, very safe, sacred place? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? What does it look like? Can you breathe into it? And if you can do all of those things, does it resemble your meditation? And if your answer is no, can you get it to that place? So everything is moving and changing. Nothing needs to stay the same. Nothing really ever does stay exactly the same. So therefore you may invoke whatever you wish. And in this invoking, we begin to address three things: balance, happiness, and freedom. These three simple things, which every human being on the planet is moving towards, no matter how old they are, no matter what they do, no matter how they choose to get there, it is always these three things: balance, happiness, freedom. And that's what this sacred quality of space that exists within your meditation gives. It gives that for free. And I can say free in full confidence because it needs or wants nothing from you. It is the most complete and natural place that we can rest. And we see it every day. All we have to do is lie flat. Immediately the body feels balanced. Just lying there. Immediately a smile emerges somewhere inside of you. And you feel free. And I want to keep this in the warm and fuzzy as much as possible. Everything warm and fuzzy. Why not? But to address a simple truth, and one that I believe we're, as a human species, moving through more and more every day. But this truth is that which is shown to you, which you experience, which you do not necessarily even want, but you do it anyways, is something that you may be addicted to. You may be addicted to that emotion, that thought, that personality that you exude. And that addiction, just like any addiction, tends to hold the individual back from fully achieving that which they wish to achieve, that which they see within their mind's eye, that which they know should be the reality. And it holds us back in so many ways. I mean, human development is designed to be in a transformative movement on a continuous basis. But at the exact same time, we are creatures of habit, and we like things to stay the same. So how do we do that? The consistency within this transformative movement. There's so many answers that I can give, but I'm going to keep it simple by saying meditation is a great key, actually. And the reason for that is, again, it allows you to become that observer. It allows you to become okay with not having that which you know is no longer good for you, but you want it anyways. And you do it sneakily, doing it. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to have that thought. Oh, I'm just going to do it. And then, whoom, we get overwhelmed. You can stop me if I'm off track. Nobody will ever know. That's the thing. Well, nobody will ever know. I like that kind of stuff. I've been working with addiction for over a year now as the hub of my contemplation. Yes.
I'm just wondering, like, how meditating maybe on your behaviors, like that you might be addicted to, things that you eat or do or smoke or whatever it is, seems like one thing, but then, like you say, being addicted to a thought or an emotion is a whole different level, I feel like, and much more difficult to work with. Like, for me, I notice, like, driving is a big one for me, where, like, I sort of turn into a different person, and everybody is, like, always wrong. Exactly, yeah. And I just notice it, and it's like, this doesn't even make sense. Like, I'm not normally this person, but you get into a car, and then it's like, and it's just, you fall into that habit, and it's really hard to work with something like that. Whereas, if you need to change a behavior, you can just stop doing it.
Maybe. Well,
you potentially can. I feel like it's more.
100% you can. And it's not difficult. And also, we do not need to meditate on the addiction at all. Actually, the meditation is directed towards that quality of space, your sanctuary, that safest place. When it comes to thought, emotion, personality, they're going to reveal themselves to you when you're sitting quietly. Because when you're relaxed, especially when you're working with something like meditation, what begins to come up is what what is in that space. So if there was a place to go, point A, point B, what is between you, who is resting at point A, and point B is all that which we want to just recognize and then surrender, release. And the correction, if there were to be a correction, is the ability to rest into what is authentically who you are, right? So you actually just said it beautifully. I get into the car and all of a sudden something changes, and you say to yourself, this is not me. This is right there the answer. So if we can classify that as not being who we are, then there's a couple of things that's going on. One is you are observing it, so that's the reinforcement that it is not who you are. Because if we can observe this, the microphone, I am not this microphone for sure. So in that we've created space. But what exists within that space is that authenticity. So the discernment between letting it go, passing by, and choosing to rest somewhere else, choosing to respond and then act from that response.
So it's like the idea of the source.
The source.
That you were talking about a
Yeah.
few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of bypassing all those things about yourself that you could spend a lifetime thinking about, and just going to that one place.
That's right. It's choosing. Like for instance, this is a big open room and all of you could have sat anywhere, but you chose to sit exactly where you're sitting for whatever reason. Why? Why did you do that? Was it random? Was it calculated? Did you understand what you were doing when you were doing it? And you can just reflect back. But that's the level of presence that we want to cultivate within meditation, is always being aware of that which is occurring, but from the sweetest place possible. Not because it's just fun to be in a sweet space, but because that's actually what it is. So I'm stating the most obvious. Mm-hmm. And we keep coming and going from that place. And I keep referring back to this lying in bed before you fall asleep and waking up, because most people enjoy that. And it's just like the refuge and the sanctuary. You enter into a quality of space, especially as you're drifting into the sleep and coming out of the sleep. And that margin is very similar to what meditation is experienced, how meditation is experienced and expressed. Mm-hmm. So your ability to just look at that. Mm-hmm. Some people call it a moral compass in some aspects.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else have any questions, comments? Do you agree or disagree? You can disagree. As we're sitting, see how many times you need to go back into that quality of space that we were talking about at the beginning, or how long it is sustained. And if you're able to maintain it, then how deep can you make that connection? So those are 3 steps that you can just work on, just sitting here and now, which will actually improve the strength of your meditation, which will then develop confidence. And in your confidence, you'll be able to achieve great heights.
Thank you. Sort of like, I think what I'm understanding is you're trading addictions. You're trading the habit of attachments and desires, outward and inwardly, for a habit of attachment and desire to that perfect stillness, that dynamic space you speak of. And sometimes, like Kevin, you get in the car and your personality changes, but you gave us all the tools to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Breathe, watch the breath, start
That's
at the
the interruption.
nostrils.
It always comes back to the breath.
Yeah.
Inhale, complete.
Yeah.
It's impossible to keep going with
Yeah.
that train of thought.
I actually applied it in, I think it was about a year and a half ago or something, had drawn our attention to it, and an argument was about to ensue between me and another personality, the clashing of egos, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided as a choice, we have choice, to just breathe. And it transformed the whole moment,
The whole moment.
completely changed.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'm just verbally summarizing it for myself, I suppose, but from what I understand is that this beautiful habit of meditation will eventually become so second nature like breath.
Yeah, exactly.
You will walk and you will go into activities and you will slip here and there, but eventually you get stronger and stronger and stronger, and holy cow.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Indian, it's really holy cow. But
Mm-hmm.
You remarkably understand
Mm-hmm.
the self that runs you.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly it.
I just wanted to
Yeah, and
share.
that's a good way of putting it. The habit of meditation is a good way of putting it. Because it is that, it's a habit. Sit, close the eyes, that we're all getting better and better at.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And you, like you say, you can do it walking, like I've done it.
100%.
It's like,
All the time. 24 hours, 7 days a week, don't ever
well, I
leave.
can't do it that way.
But you don't
Yet.
need to even leave. Just chilling in that zone.
Okay. What a happy Wednesday.
Happy, happy Wednesday. All day Wednesday, every day.
Thank you.
They write songs about these kinds of things all the time, like rap songs and stuff. Chilling in the zone. I'm cool on my own. Like all these things. Affirming, reaffirming the beautiful, obvious experience that human beings are having, and we all want them. It's just the truth. I stay in my zone. That one means a lot. Right there. If you're out of your zone, just tell yourself, I'm cool on my own, I stay in my zone. Like, you don't need anybody or anything else. And anybody and anything are those thoughts, those emotions that are being shown, revealed. They are guiding, but do they need to guide you? It should be the other way around. Emotion should be a communicator. So this is how I feel right now. I'm going to show you guys very clearly. This is as clear as I can be. Here we go. This is my emotional state at the moment. And you can hear it in my voice. This is it. So this is what emotion is. This is what it should be doing. I should be letting you know from my emotion. But also, at the same time, my emotion is letting me know what you guys are thinking about this talk right now. And my thoughts are actually supportive of this environment that I am creating through my emotional state. Not the opposite way around. I'm not ruled by the emotion. My thought is not telling me what to do, yelling in my ear. It's expressive, supportive, understanding. Understanding. We all want to be understood. That's the thing. We all want to be understood, right? From little size, we do that. So then understand thought and emotion, personality. Understand yourself in relation to all of that. Understand yourself in relation to your body. What does your body need? And once we become really joyously engaged within the environment that we are creating, which is not reliant on anything else, then all of a sudden it becomes incredibly strong, and we increase in our ability to become confident within that. Confident. And confidence is everything. If we want to be able to manifest a sustainable reality and not get pushed around. And that's where this whole addiction conversation comes back in. And I apologize if some of you don't like me talking about it, but it's really important. We become sweetly addicted also. Like it's not a negative, it just is a thing. You guys, let me try to bring an analogy. Okay, I think I got one that might paint a picture. So you might have to remember a little bit, but do you ever remember a time when you wanted to go out with somebody? Whether it be masculine or feminine, whether it be something serious you wanted to happen or just a friend, but you really wanted that to happen. And whenever you saw that person, the heart would increase, right? So the pulse would start going. The sweat glands would always cue at the wrong places within the body. But you really wanted that to happen. And it was challenging to develop the confidence in order to make that relationship occur, even though you know it's the best thing for you. But then right at the same time, there's a good old reliable friend who is always not the best influence, who is someone that maybe you're attempting to move away from, grow into something more. But every time, instead of challenging yourself and that beautiful waterfall that's coming out of you, you just revert back into the comfort of that old friend. Does that ring any bells or no? And this is in relation to confidence. This is in relation to achieving that next level or step. And it actually happens inside your meditation every single time you sit until you resolve it. So you sit, you say, I am steadying my mind. And all of a sudden the storyline begins, and oh yeah, I remember that. And then it just takes you. The good old friend, the storyteller, telling you yet again another story. So how to relate to that friendship in a constructive way? And this is the addiction. How to relate, how to develop within that relationship in a constructive way. Because it's my belief that everything happens for a reason. All aspects of the experience that is occurring inside your mind-body connection is happening for a reason. Everything which is being expressed are just simply symptoms that come from a source. Well, what is the source? In order to get to the source, you have to go to the source. But you want to go into the complexity and find out this source? I do not recommend. Instead, go to that same vibration of source, but from the perspective of simplicity, from the perspective of the meditative qualities that exist within that very safe environment. So it keeps looping back this conversation again and again in sustainability, creating sustainable relationships within oneself, so that what is being invoked is just confidence. And through that confidence, we can then discern what is yes and what is no. What is yes and what is no. And in our ability to be very decisive in this decision making, we begin to move quickly. Everything is movable, shapeable, changeable. I usually talk about it pretty much every single meditation, but the brain can do whatever we want in terms of connection. Whatever it is that we want. We must just put in the time to influence it in that way. Like you were all walking. You all learned this very complex language, but it happened so naturally that it felt like second nature. You don't even remember, potentially, how it was to learn how to speak. But also the human species learned how to speak over quite an extended period of time, which started with a series of grunts and then moved into sophistication. So this is your meditation. Effective, but maybe it's a series of grunts moving into sophistication. Or maybe you disagree. But I see those minds with their eyes closed. And it's just very interesting things are happening. But what I want to say is that it is actually happening, and that's the beauty. And show me again this quality of space that you call sacred. Show it to me. And then there you are. Can you show me the deepest place within you? Can you show me that? Can you now show me the most balanced place within you? The most intelligent place within you? And so what does this dialogue within your mind say as you're invoking the connection, as the nervous system is firing, and as the tissue of the body is responding in a very subtle twitch? So it's that body-mind relationship that we want to take care of. We want to take care of it. We want to take care of this nervous system. Because this nervous system can house a very high frequency. So the more confidence we have in this body-mind connection, the greater ability that the nervous system has to fire at higher voltage. Greater capacity. We get depleted and decrease this ability when there's arguments occurring between body-mind. When there's arguments occurring between thought and personality, emotion. And when there's incongruencies between the deepest place and that which is being reflected within the mind. So we want to develop that, and it happens right here. You just showed me your deepest place. Can you return back to that place? Can you invoke the balance once again? Can you invoke the intelligence and see what it feels like? And now stay there. Well, how do we stay there? The same way that we break up the thought. We just simply breathe into it. And notice all that space. So you inhale, exhale, and it's alchemy. You're mixing. There's a response that's occurring. And you yourself decide whether or not it's good. And whether or not it's real. Well, if you're inhaling, exhaling, and it's happening, then it is as real as you are. and then become so fun. I love having fun. It's actually one of my very most favorite things to do. Yes, thank you. I actually have fun from sunrise to sunset. Even in the most challenging class 5 rapids that I by accident willingly jumped into, I am still actually having a good time. Why? Because it's already been done. I am in it. What to do, as they say. Well, I say have a good time. Crying, have fun. Angry, enjoy it. Because it's not lasting, right? That emotion actually is not ever going to be like that again. And if you decide, I don't want to have that anymore, well then, that's what's going to happen. So, attention and intention are two powerful tools. Honing you. Attention and intention. So what your intention is becomes the beacon, and we cultivate attention onto that intention. The more attention on the intention, the faster it comes towards you. Any final questions or comments? Like basically this is a party. Also, I'm a big fan of partying. Like right now, look at this. This is a serious good time right now. Whew. I think I gotta just close my eyes for a few minutes over here. Just take a little rest. Like if you're ever in my car, there could be gangster rap playing. Straight up. It is like that. Just a deep appreciation for life itself and all that comes with it. A deep appreciation for it. Because it only happens once like this and then it's gone. And then it will happen again, but it's totally different. And that's what's amazing. You get angry twice, that's 2 different ways you've been angry. It's never the same. Sad, happiness, joy, elation, moment to moment to moment, it's in transformation. So this is the clue that we've been looking for, in my opinion. It is always changing, developing in some transformative way. So if I keep appreciating and enjoying no matter what it is that has already occurred that I am just simply responding to, then I am elevating. If I elevate my own consciousness within that which is already occurring, then I become a positive influence on everyone and everything around me. And that's not just me, that's every human being on the planet. That's why everyone likes to hang out with more positive people. Unless you love being negative, then you actually like to hang out with more negative people because it reinforces you. But then there's these positive people who are just simply pumping the positivity for the sake of positivity because they're afraid of the shadow side, which maybe is more negative. But then there's the ones that are appreciating it all, the positive and the negative, and actually seeing it as a whole lot of fun. And that's where you want to get to if I were to ever suggest something to you. To be able to see all the light and all the dark as one in the same joyous experience. I mean, 2 different vibrations, but joyous nonetheless. Tears might be flowing, but it's gonna pass, as they say. Okay, Let's close the eyes. And very simply rest into the comfort that you feel within your body. Even if it's mixed with discomfort, choose comfort over discomfort. And reinforce that comfort with your breathing. Breathing directly into comfort. And watch it over time transform into profound relaxation. To be relaxed is to become poised and ready. Become acquainted to that very safe place inside of you where you may be able to completely relax and be yourself. And from that place, observe the tendencies of the mind, without becoming any one of those tendencies we observe. Keeping the eyes closed, let's bring full deep breaths into the body. Keeping the eyes closed, bring your gaze into the space just there in front of you. And with soft intensity, maintain the integrity of the space, uninterrupted by any thought. Keeping the eyes closed, soften the gaze. And very slowly, very gently, allow the eyes to open. All right. It's another party for you. Complete. Or just beginning, depending on how you see it. Something that I would like to leave you with is, if you connect to it, see if you can maintain a practice of staying connected to that quality of space that we talked about, this most safe sanctuary inside of you. Especially at the end of the night, and not even as a formal meditation, but just sit down for a couple of moments and just be there. And then if you have already established that place, is it possible for you to deepen it? Can you deepen the relationship with it? Eventually to the point where there's just no coming out. Which is so great. So this is such a deep connection into one's own experience of what is safe, but from a completely open perspective. So pulling on the tiger's tail and feeling completely okay to do that. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste.